Warning, this podcast will probably feature spoilers for many, many episodes of Doctor Who.
Has anyone dabbed yet? I feel like 13 would dab.
No, 13 or 11 would dab. Actually, no, 11 would absolutely dab. A lot.
11 would floss. Okay, I've got to figure it out. 11 would floss well and energetically. 13 would
Actually,
floss...
No, he wouldn't, because 11 can't dance, remember? That one,
Right. Okay. 11 flosses well... No, 11 flosses poorly, but energetically. 13 flosses well, but sort of awkwardly. And 12 is weirdly good at it, but unenthusiastic about it.
No, because 12 would never do it. So, yes, in theory, he'd be good at it, but he'd never actually do it.
No, he would in a special occasion, it's one of those things where it's like it would be set up.
Oh no, he does it to show off to a group of Fortnite kids, so they lead him to where the alien is.
Yes, exactly. I can totally see that happening.
He does it for River when he's really drunk.
No, but what I was gonna say is 11 dabs completely unironically and earnestly in a similar manner to him saying "Who to man" in the 11th hour.
Oh god.
We've gone way off course.
Hey man, we got a cold open now.
That's true.
Look,
true.
Talking about all the Doctor's relationships to dabbing is just very important.
Yeah, this is the content all 10 of our listeners come for. This is it.
Very true.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the BBC 2005 revival of Doctor Who. I'm Geoff.
I'm Skylar.
And I'm Avery.
And this week we are covering two episodes, the Series 1 finale, Series 1 Episode 12, Bad Wolf, and Series 1 Episode 13, The Parting of the Ways, which is the final episodes to feature our boy Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, and an actually good season finale, and I'm going to try my best to not break out into bitching about the Season 12 finale, because I fucking hated that shit.
You can't spoil me.
Yes, there's your motivation, Geoff.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I have things that I can say that I can word in a way that won't be a spoiler. But anyways, so the cold open for this really just gives you no idea what's the clue going on, and immediately you're introduced to Bad Wolf specifically, that one weird thing, which is if you had Satellite 5 in the long game, which satirized the news, this satirizes reality shows and game shows. But the problem is, whereas here's just getting it out of the way. My problem with this part of the episode is that
Satellite, or at least in the long game, it discussed the news in like a very sort of generic sense. Like there was this idea that you were satirizing like News Corp and Rupert Murdoch, but it wasn't literally like BBC news or ITV or whatever. Like they made it more generic, and they had more other things, whereas this is literally just 3 like popular reality / game shows in Britain at the time, down to having voice actors or the hosts do the voice acting for the robots. It's just like kind of stunt casty, and it makes it not age as well, I think, as if they'd just done sort of generic stuff. Because like I already only like barely have the cultural reference point for some of this shit.
Yeah, it is a bit disconcerting, and it definitely dates the culture. At the time, it didn't bother me that much because I was kind of ignorant of all these shows, because I was just like, oh, I guess they made these shows up. But
nope.
Of course, I've learned since then that they're based off of real gutter trash, not just fictional gutter trash.
I think at the time I watched it, I was vaguely aware of Big Brother, so I caught that one. But yeah, I mean the other ones. I mean, to be fair, the quiz show, it's just like, I don't know what specifically it's based off of, but you know,
it's literally based off a show called The Weakest Link, with
that makes sense, but it's like,
with the host voicing the robot.
But see, that makes sense, but at the same time, it's like a generic enough quiz show that I don't think that like
I guess, yeah.
Like, it doesn't impair, like, not knowing what shows they're based off of doesn't impair any understanding in the episode, because they picked like some pretty basic games, like Big Brother. You know, I had no idea what it was about, but even as a kid, I picked up pretty quickly like what the basic point of the show was. You know.
Well, the one thing I would say with The Weakest Link is that they do make a joke with the host's name.
Yeah,
being, a parody reference, which I feel like, I don't know if it has, but I'm just thinking like, if that show keeps going but it gets a different host, that's immediately going to date this episode.
I guess it's true. It's like a little weird that you know, 200,000 years in the future, their game shows are based off of this very specific segment of British shows within like a 5-year period. But whatever.
Look, the Dalek Emperor really loves his HSN, or whatever that garbage CNN spinoff is. You know what I mean?
Oh man. It's like that one time 8 gets trapped on Earth and turns into like a bored like soap opera addicted trash fire of a person. But yeah, to get to the actual episode, because we're still only like 5 seconds in, they have like a brief flashback of Long Game, which actually, now that I think about it, if you count the fact that there are 3 2-part episodes in this story, plus recaps for Boomtown and this episode, I think this, like, my brain was just like, hey, I think this is the most recaps of any season of Doctor Who. Because that's how my brain works. So the Doctor just suddenly appears in this closet in this house, which he finds out is, you know, it's Big Brother, the reality show, but in the future.
Also, another like comment on this season. I feel like this season has done a lot of like goofs in like the cold opens, like the fact where the cold open directly like segues into the theme song once he figures out where he is, and it's just like, oh, you've got to be kidding. Like that's on the same level as like directly segueing into the opening credits when someone says Doctor Who and then looks at the camera.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same type of style, and yeah. I forget how like light this show, this episode starts off, and then like quickly goes downhill. Yeah. And of course, the second part is even darker. Yeah. I forget how dark.
Second part has like one of the biggest on-screen body counts since like Caves of Androzani if you talk about like the actual cast list. Which for reference, Caves of Androzani is the Fifth Doctor's last story, where literally everyone in the story dies except for his companion Perry.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Literally everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. It's just like, wow, this is really tonally out of place with the rest of like Five's story. But yeah, Rose wakes up and she's on the set of a game show. And Jack wakes up and he's in one of those like get a makeover type shows, which I will say this is the best part, but just because it really gives John Barrowman ample opportunity to just do everything.
His plot in the like first half of this episode is just that was the best part of this episode.
Yeah, he's just going with it.
Yeah.
Instant chemistry.
The other two, they're sort of just like, they're like, oh my god, what's going on? Where's everyone else? I gotta figure this out. And, at this point, you'd think the Doctor would know to just like sort of go along with things now, but Jack's just like, he's been around the block enough times. He's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy this for a bit, and then once it becomes necessary, then he gets out. But up till then, he's just gonna enjoy himself.
The best line is when they pull out the defabricator and disintegrate his clothes, and he's like, "Am I naked in front of millions of viewers?" And they're like, "Yes." And he's like, "Ladies, your viewing figures just went up."
I love that line so much.
Also,
the fabricator, fabricator, and then he just goes, "It does exactly what it says on the tin."
Yeah. The fun fact about this scene. So the scene as actually shot had his ass in frame, and that was the only complaint that BBC had about the entire series. That was the only thing they had to edit.
We were robbed.
Yeah. That's what Torchwood's for.
Is the makeup or the makeover one based off of like an actual thing, not just...
Yes, and the robots there are voiced by the host of that show, too.
Okay.
Literally all of them. So, I will get a little bit more into something I picked up here about Linda and how she relates to a couple other themes in this season, but the Doctor starts hanging out with this fellow resident of the house, Linda, and is explaining, like, how did I get here? It's a transmat beam, and that's not supposed to get into the TARDIS unless you're Chris Chibnall. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it.
Breathe, Jeff. Breathe.
I have no idea what that's referring to, and I just sort of tuned it out.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Really
you'll
be fine.
You'll see. So they were explaining about all these off-camera adventures they had before they got teleported. Meanwhile, up at floor 500, the administration are somewhat confused about these 3 people that just kind of showed up for no reason that like shouldn't be there, and everyone's like very confused because like obviously like Rose doesn't know the answers to a lot of questions, and the Doctor just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Jack's obviously given these people some of the best ratings they've had in years, but
that was also one thing that... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it was one angle that I kind of forgot about, that like we spend time with these like administrators who are basically just fully facilitating this like slaughter, and the fact that they even do a direct parallel with like, this is just in our contracts, and And that's going way ahead, but just the fact that they're just like, oh yeah, this is an office job. Oh, these 3 people aren't supposed to be here. Weird. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll monitor that. And it's just like, otherwise their day is very mundane, which like also goes back to the, original episode where we see Satellite 5 in, but here it's like you can see how far that mentality can go even when things are so much worse.
I'm a little bit like, I'm kind of on the fence about like sort of the more the commentary about this episode, or the sort of the social satire about this episode, because I feel like it's missing something, and that's you don't get any perspective of what like the viewers on Earth are like. You only get like the office people and the people who are stuck in the games. Like I guess you get a little bit of that with Roderick, but I feel like for the commentary to really effectively work, they needed to show a little bit more than what's there, and I'm kind of wondering if this is something that can get kind of filed under like interesting idea, but maybe shouldn't have been part of your season finale plot, because it means that it's automatically not going to get as much priority as getting everyone where they need to be for the big reveals and what this story is actually about.
Yeah, I can see that. The only time we really hear anything about, like, the viewers is when Linda is asking about them, and when the doctor is expositing, and it's like, oh, 50% are overweight, 50% are underweight, everyone's watching TV. And it's just like, well, I guess that's the best we're gonna get right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I digress.
So yeah, at this time, everyone starts to learn the big freaky part about these game shows is that at the end of this game show, someone dies, supposedly.
I do like just the variety in the questions, where a lot of it is just like pop culture or history, but then they also just ask her a basic math problem.
Yeah, I think that might actually be part of the format of the show too, but I wouldn't know because I'm not British and I don't watch game shows. Yeah, there is this great thing where like the doctor's just like, okay, yeah, eviction, whatever, and just like totally not paying attention until someone gets disintegrated, and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, his spidey sense just like goes from a 0 to 100 real quick. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Also, you get to see the controller, who is kind of up above everyone else working on floor 500, and is just like this figure just kind of suspended from the ceiling with all these cables and stuff, which I think that's a pretty cool kind of creepy thing, even though she only really shows up in this episode, obviously.
Oh, I do like when they start sort of doing the Captain Jack's fashion stuff. That's fun.
Yeah, and like the whole like this is like big RTD camp moment where these two like androids with like these fucking androids just like pull out like chainsaw arms and are like talking about like a facelift, and then Jack pulls a gun out of his ass and shoots him.
Well, that's later. I was talking about just sort of the just the fashion part of it.
Yeah. Just because he's just playing along.
He's having fun with it. I like the President Schwarzenegger line.
Yeah.
It's like, I've had worse nights than this. I'll try on some clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, I also like when the robot calls Rose a bum, basically.
Yeah.
So you're unemployed. No. It's like, do you have a job? Well, no. It's like, then you are unemployed. Just like, damn. Okay.
Roderick, who's a real asshole of a person, who's also running against who's not running is playing the weakest link along with Rose, explains that the games are run by the Bad Wolf Corporation, and then the episode, just in case you forgot, just plays a little montage of every single time in the entire season someone's mentioned the words Bad Wolf.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I just remembered something. Okay, we'll get to this over the break, but I have a potentially embarrassing for me story that is kind of funny.
Awesome.
Can I also say that the way they win her and Roderick is very unrealistic, because they're pretty open about the fact that they're working together. Inconveniently, everyone just sort of goes along with it until they get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's probably like, these are games, but, everybody's watching the murder, so it probably doesn't matter that much.
So the doctor deliberately breaks a camera to try and get evicted, and just is like, "Come on, motherfucker, kill me, do it," which of course doesn't work because they don't want him dead.
It's literally balls he won't.
Yeah. Try me, bitch.
Bet. Fucking bet.
What are our thoughts on Linda?
I will talk. Okay.
We can say that for later.
Here's the thing. I don't want to talk about Linda because a lot of my thoughts have to do with the eventual end to her story. I don't want to talk about her that much until we actually get there. If that's fair.
No, that's fair. I just wanted to check, because she's obviously like more of a major player than tertiary characters have normally been. So
yeah, no, I have something to point out about her, but no. The doctor makes a moisturized joke. Because Linda's like, "Wait, you were here 100 years ago? You look pretty good for that." And he's like, "Oh, I moisturize." It's like I'm pretty sure there are other like moisturized jokes in this season too, or either that or like Early Tenant. In a similar way to that like "Are you my mummy" becomes like an occasional like running gag.
Yeah, I remember that.
Linda talks about all the other games that they're running here. Call My Bluff with real guns, Countdown where you've got 30 seconds to stop the bomb going out, Ground Force where you get turned into compost, Wipeout which speaks for itself, and Stars in Their Eyes where if you don't sing you get blinded.
Yeah, the world...
Then they make a TV license joke.
Yeah.
Which is another British thing, and he's like, "You watch this stuff?" And she goes, "Everyone does. How come you don't?" And he's like, "Never paid for my license." And she's like, "Oh my god, you get executed for that," which is, I mean, that's a very British joke. Sort of just funny.
Oh yes, very very British.
Just because it's like sort of a meme. The ads they put around, if you don't pay your license fee, we're gonna find you.
There's some very, very good commentary where Linda points out that, yes, he shut down the news channels, but that meant that all that was left was vapid entertainment, so they just all shifted to that.
Yeah.
Which, that is one of the things where it kind of points out the flaws of just kind of swanning off and leaving again without actually checking if everything's good.
Yeah, I thought of Boomtown and Margaret's kind of big complaint against the Doctor when that was happening. It's way more thematically connected than I remember being, but it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, in general this season is a very like thematically connected, tightly paced 13 episodes except for Unquiet Dead, so let's make that 12 episodes. Although, I guess that does have, like, one Bad Wolf mention, so, okay. Like, 12 and a half.
I don't know if I count that one.
12 and a half.
That one's very much a filler.
But yeah, you know, it's very like thematically paced, and a lot of stuff ties into each other, and there's callbacks, even though it still has an overall episodic format. Something I think the current showrunners could take a lesson in.
Oh God. It's just like George Lucas said. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
The Slitheen are the key to this. If we get the Slitheen, we get everything.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to imagine Series 13 Slitheen prosthetics. I really don't.
Imagine if that's what he starts doing, is like, okay, you guys like RTD, fine, I'm bringing back the fucking Slitheen. I'm bringing back the Sycorax.
Oh God.
I'm bringing back that one B dude.
Imagine fucking Doctor Who with George Lucas as the showrunner.
Honestly,
Oh my God, the B
that
dude
would
thing just made me think about Yaz making a B movie joke.
Oh, did she do that? Wait, was that in the newest episode?
No.
No.
I'm just thinking, like, I feel, well, actually, no, because of the age of the people writing the show, but it would be funny. Also, we have the first occurrence of the running joke of the Doctor treating Captain Jack saying hello as flirting.
Yeah, I forgot that started here, but it's a
In all
time-honored
fairness-
tradition.
In all fairness, saying hello can absolutely be flirting.
Insert that into the Spider-Verse gif here.
Hey.
Oh God, yeah.
So there's this very tense moment where they figure out where Rose is, and they're getting up. They're trying to get up to her, but they get to her just as she's voted off and disintegrated. And there's this great good 9 moment where it just kind of cuts through them getting like apprehended and put in jail and talked to and interrogated, and he just maintains the exact same expression the entire time.
Oh yeah, he's concentrating real hard not to murder everybody who works there.
Yeah. I will say though, it's really funny, like, how easy they get out of there. Like, I feel like I definitely think there's some episodes where it's kind of disjointed, and I feel like there was supposed to be something here, but because they're sticking to a 45-minute schedule, it had to been cut. Like the whole thing where, you know, you have like 45 solid seconds of him grimacing, and then they're like, you're going to be taken to the lunar penal colony to be held without trial, you cannot appeal. And then the Doctor's just immediately like, let's do it. And they kick the guards' asses and escape. And it's like, well, okay, what was the point of that?
Yeah. It feels like a moment where there should be a scene where, like, they all have, like, somewhat of a heart-to-heart, and, like,
yeah, exactly.
Linda inspires him to, like,
yeah.
go on, because Rose may be gone, but here's this human who's, like, also kind of inspiring, and
yeah,
like,
and that
jives
would fit
with him.
That,
so,
yeah, and that would fit with other thematic things. So I wonder. I feel like that was something that was in like a draft of the script, but either got cut before they film or ended up being a deleted scene for time reasons. So they escape and all head up. And there's this great scene where the Doctor like has the defabricator, and someone and one of the guys like don't shoot, and the Doctor's like I was gonna shoot, and he throws him the gun and starts interrogating him, and he's like, wait a minute, I have your gun, and he's like, yes you do, and just keeps interrogating.
It's like, yeah, so shoot me, answer my question.
Yeah, another Big Dick 9 moment.
And he goes, and he's like, "Can I drop this?" And he's like, "Sure, but do it quickly."
Yeah. Another nice little horror bit. The person who's like hanging from the wires and is controlling the station has been up there since she was 7, and it's like the only life she's ever known, which is like, again, really like fucking dark.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, damn, the humans are so horrible. And then I was like, okay, it's probably the Daleks who are doing that. But then I realized how like everybody's complacent in this system, and I'm like, damn, these humans are also kind of horrible.
Horrible. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
my next favorite moment is how Jack is going towards the door that
Yeah.
the person told the other woman not to go to, and it's like, that's out of bounds. And he's like, do I look like an out of bounds sort of guy? I was just like, Jack, I miss you.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just
Please
say,
come back for more than 5 minutes.
I don't know if anyone said it yet, but god damn is he hot in this episode.
He's hot in every episode, but yes.
Yeah, implying he isn't normally.
Okay, but those robots knew what they were doing. He is styling in this.
No, yeah, with the leather vest thing and the getup, like the low-key Han Solo vibes I get from him.
Oh yeah, no, that was intentional. That's why they change his outfit in every episode that he's in to fit the time period.
Good shit.
Yeah, and they very clearly just they point out like how based RTD moment, how the show just immediately condemns people who do shitty things because they're just doing their jobs. And that, because you can tell that royally pisses him off because he actually like fucking like screams at someone.
Yeah, that's a good moment. I also like the when the solar flare thing happens. I was paying a lot of attention, and of course I have subtitles on, and I didn't the first time I watched these episodes, even though I was like young and couldn't understand British people for crap. But they mentioned the solar flare thing a bunch of times, and that like then it comes and you're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense narratively, and it's a neat trick that they use in a 12th Doctor episode. Solar flares that like screw with things.
Yeah.
But good shit.
Jack explains that the disintegrator beam isn't actually a disintegrator beam, it's a transmat.
Which I actually think is brilliant, because when you think about it, the only difference between a disintegrator beam and a transmat is with a transmat you get put back together eventually.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it reminded me of the whole like debate people have in Star Trek of whether a transporter kills you, and if the thing that's like, if whatever is beamed wherever is like the same you or a different you that just has your memories. I'll be honest, I've never cared much about that debate to decide one way or the other, but it made me think of that.
Yeah. So the controller openly defies the Daleks by telling the Doctor where they are. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, there are Daleks in this episode. It's a Russell T Davies finale though. What the fuck did you expect?
And if you watched the Next Time trailer last time...
Well, no, literally. Oh my god. Guys, literally. Holy shit. The two things that Russell T Davies did for finales, his finales are either Dalek episodes or Master episodes.
I mean, the man knows what he likes.
Yeah. And at least the first of all of those are good.
True.
So yeah, they take the controller and she gets exterminated. And again, this season they really like doing the long like close-ups on the disintegrator. On the extermination effect, and really just like piling that one in.
Yeah. The creepy part of that effect is like, and maybe this isn't intentional, but the fact that like you still kind of like look like you're alive for a second before you fall over is just so intimidating and creepy to me. I don't know if they intended that, but if it's just the effect.
It's intimidating. It's intimidating and creepy here. It's really funny because in classic, especially in the beloved story Genesis of the Daleks, first off, instead of it just being the person's skeleton, obviously because they didn't have as developed special effects, they just like swap the entire frame for a photo negative. But also they will like scream and yell and like run into walls and like bash themselves around until they eventually fall over for like upwards of like 5 seconds sometimes, and it's really funny. Like they really ham it up sometimes in classic.
Hey, you know, earn that paycheck, you know?
Yeah. Also, how so the Daleks reveal themselves and make their ultimatum to the Doctor, and he's just like, no, fuck you.
No, he sees Rose and is inspired by the power of how turned on he just got. That's true. You can't tell me otherwise.
Imagine, like, okay, I know this wouldn't happen because of 12's character, but imagine if to fuck with someone, 12 just turned to someone and was like, you cannot believe how turned on by this I am right now.
It would work too, but...
Yeah. But no, so there is the great line here where the Daleks are like, you have no weapons, no defense, no plan, and he's like, yep, and doesn't that just absolutely terrify you guys?
Oh, it's such a good line.
Interestingly enough, this is the only one of the few two-parters that I can think of that like doesn't end on a strict cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Um
I'll also say, like, in praise of this episode, that the reveal of the Daleks has never been as good as it was here. In terms of, obviously, with, like, in Dalek, it's arguably more effective, but the fact that there's just, like, the scale of them, like, in every other subsequent episodes, and this isn't, like, a Moffat dig or anything, like literally just like every time they're introduced again, it's just like it's not as effective, but it's just to their overuse, you know, because they hadn't been seen for like 25 years, or no, not 25 years, like 15 or whatever years, and the last time they showed up it was only one of them. And then they reveal this huge fleet, and it makes it to the point where even in Journey's End, which has some huge emotional relevance because Sarah Jane sees a Dalek there and flips out, which I think is really good because she was there when they literally when they started, because she's in Genesis of the Daleks. But yeah, no, I feel like even then it's somewhat undercut by the fact of, oh, you're just doing another one of these fucking things again. Yeah, and just how the Doctor's just going through it like cold shock. He's just like counting down the numbers, and it's like, that means there's 500,000 of them, and I'm just like, holy crap.
Yeah, but no. So the episode ends, of course, obviously with them all screaming exterminate, and the Doctor going to go get Rose. So, I have a story to tell, gamers. So I have a story to tell. So I was like 9 or 10, you know, peak like dumb kid age, was like huge into Doctor Who, big nerd. It was like, I think it was like springtime back at my old house in Redlands in California. And I had my I was listening to fucking like Doctor Who soundtrack on my fucking like red iPod Nano, and I had a pencil with me.
And I'm outside, and I think of something, and I go up to the side of my house with the pencil and write Bad Wolf on the side of my house. I got so much shit for that. And I'm just like, God, what were you thinking? But it was like it's really funny in hindsight. Like it's peak like dumb kid shit.
Geoff, rebelling against authority at a very young age, I approve.
Base.
Anyways, so back into the actual episode. So I love how this opens with the Daleks like freaking out and being like, you know the Doctor, like what is he going to do? And she's like, I don't fucking know. And they're like, oh God. Also, they straight up like blow up a Dalek, which is one of those. It's weird. Like the Daleks get blown up like a lot more frequently than they did in Classic than they do in Modern, and you think it would be the other way around due to like how Classic's budget was, but yeah. Oh yeah. Also, a line that foreshadows possibly the best scene in this entire episode is a scene where, you know, Rose and the Doctor are having a reunion, and Jack's like, hey, don't I get a hug? And Rose is like, come here, and he's like, no, I was talking to him.
Never misses an opportunity.
My man.
I like how he describes him, Jack, blowing up the Dalek as saying, you were lucky, that was just a one-shot wonder, and then he explains, drained the gun of its power supply.
Yeah.
I was just like, you chose how to word that.
Yeah.
You chose suboptimally.
Yeah, then they come out of the TARDIS because there's a force field around it because of the extrapolator. So Boomtown actually, like, seriously affects stuff, too. Like, more than thematically. Like, that's how they got the extrapolator. And then they show... They reveal the Dalek Emperor, which is surprisingly good CGI for a season that kind of blew its budget on End of the World. Like the green screening effect ain't that great, but
yeah, it helps that they close in on the actual creature more than anything. But yeah, it's an impressive design.
I gotta ask: is the like Dalek Emperor a classic Who thing, or is that?
Yeah, it doesn't look the same, but hold on, it does show up a couple times.
Interesting.
Dalek Emperor appears in. Yeah. Very very old. It obviously has more appearances in Expanded Universe than in Main, but it's appeared in like a First Doctor era story, and then a Seventh Doctor era story. Although, does that count? Or if I remember Remembrance correct, does that count? Hold on.
I do like how at this point.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay, so we're okay. He has showed up before. Only once, but he has showed up before.
What's like the political structure of the Dalek Empire?
I don't fucking know, dude. This series
That's what I
doesn't
was.
have it. To be. Also, the other thing is the Emperor's like major screen appearance is from an episode before Davros was created, so. They kind of like, yeah, it's like the Supreme Dalek shows up a bit more than the Emperor Dalek.
What's the fucking difference?
I I think one still is like on it like a lower rung than Davros. Hold on.
Also, like, I don't think Davros isn't like an official political leader, but as the creator, he's basically
they just kind of keep him around because he made them. Like, most of the time they don't actually like Dalek. I mean, most of the time they don't actually like Davros.
Yeah. And then, like, the political structure gets even more, like, confusing because you get to a 11th Doctor episode where they go to the Dalek Parliament, and you're just like, wait, hold the fuck up, what?
Yeah.
So, it's, you know, for this episode, they have an emperor.
The Daleks don't exactly strike me as the type to have parliamentary democracy and
Yeah.
You never know.
Like, we survived the Time War thing, which works here. It works significantly less, like exponentially less every like following time that they do it, which is why I'm kind of glad that Moffat eventually like pulled the plug on that whole thing.
What did they change it to? Like, how did he change it?
Well, like, the original explanation being, like, the time lock that nothing supposedly in the war is supposed to get out, and then you retcon it to, oh, there was never a time lock because the moment was never actually used. So then it just turns into, oh, a bunch of Daleks just happen to escape.
I thought the time lock was separate from the moment, though, because Rassilon talks about escaping the Time War, which he wouldn't know... Whatever. The Time War is nebulous. That's
a
the whole
correct answer.
That's a whole big fish of like canon that doesn't even agree with itself most of the time.
The Time War is just whatever you want it to be in the story.
Yeah.
The Time War is the friends we made along the way.
Interesting thing here. I feel like, you know, there's the good comment of like, since they're partially made of humanity, that adds like self-hatred into the mix because they're not pure Dalek, but also like I feel like he's trying to like make like a based commentary on religion, since they talk about like blasphemy and the Emperor Dalek and
What's with all the religion stuff? Like, it's really weird. Just like, do the Daleks have a religion?
No, they don't. That's the point here, is that they've gone mad. Even more mad than usual, because the Doctor's like, that doesn't sound right.
That's one thing I was wondering about, is that they say centuries pass, and I'm just like, okay, how long do Daleks live?
A very long time, because they kind of don't have... Like, they're kind of in a situation where they don't really die from old age, unless it's, you know, like, the point where they actually, like... Okay, y'all remember Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar?
Where, yeah, the sewer is made up of, like, dying, decaying Daleks. Yeah. I remember how disturbing that is.
Decaying. They're not even dead. They've just, like, devolved into slush. Like, they don't really die from old age.
So, yeah, you would go insane. Never mind. Makes perfect sense.
So yeah, they start to set up their defenses to try and stop the Daleks, and the Doctor sets up this wave of energy that will wipe out the Daleks by frying organic life. And Jack goes off to lead the defense movement. Which moves into the best part of the entire episode, and if you don't think so, you are wrong, where Jack and the Doctor kiss on television in 2005.
Epic.
God, what a legend.
Yeah. Best part of his return in Series 12 was seeing him kiss Graham like that.
Did you read the interview where he was like, I knew this was my only chance to kiss Bradley Walsh, so I just really went all in for it.
John Barrowman is a national treasure. What a man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing of like why I think he fits more with like 9 than 10, which is like he and 10 are like bros, but I actually genuinely think he is attracted to 9.
Oh yeah, totally. But I'm like wondering, because it seems to me that like Jack knows how hopeless this is going to end up being pretty much right from the get-go, and that like there's a certain level of him and the Doctor pretending for the other humans, and Rose especially, that they're more prepared than they are. Or is that just me? Because I know at a certain point that's
There
like
is
obvious,
a little bit of that.
but I don't know. I feel like even
There is a little bit of that.
here,
I mean,
they do that.
I mean, there is also like even before Jack gains the ability to actually be immortal, he's still like fairly blasé when it comes to death.
Yeah.
And this is also a sign of his character development, because he's not being a coward and he's standing up even in a hopeless situation. Like he straight up points out, I was much better off as a coward.
Yeah. I just remember the line. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's like, these guns work good against them. And then we see people trying to fight the Daleks off with them, and they're obviously not doing anything.
I mean, there's also a little bit of, these are like specifically like Time War era remodeled Daleks, which are hardier than like, this is kind of a like when you think about it from a time traveler's perspective, it's a little bit weird, but when you think about it from like the history of the show, these are hardier than classic Daleks.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, also, like, is the Daleks being like made from humans something that's only in this episode, or like all the Daleks from?
No,
here
only
on
from this episode. Like their original race was humanoid, but they weren't humans.
So it's like it's different from the Cybermen, who sort of like get locked.
Very much so.
Different, yeah, because they sort of get locked into the alternate.
God, Nope, I'm not gonna say anything.
I will throw my cherry Pepsi through my screen. Don't do it.
Does that get retconned? Oh no.
No, it's just something dumb they do
It's
with the
something else.
Cybermen in this episode. Avery, just watch the episode after we finish recording.
I have some homework to do, but maybe.
Well, it's also
do your
only
homework.
like, yeah, and it's also only like 6:00 your time.
More like it's 6 o'clock.
Oh, got him.
Actually, it's not, but go off. Also, can I just get a chair and like smack Roderick over the head with it?
Yeah,
that's something I can do. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Roderick can get airlocked.
Yeah. I was like, this is the template.
Roderick is a Biden supporter.
Biden or Bloomberg?
Well, at this point in time, Biden, but before today, Bloomberg.
Yeah, true. Base commentary. You're welcome.
Also, the Doctor tricks Rose into going home because he doesn't want her to die, which it's weird because for all the things that I think like Clara does a Rose archetype thing better because it's deconstructed more, I feel like the fact that like doesn't he send Clara home twice in Time of the Doctor, and it's like, how the fuck did you fall for that the second time?
Yeah, he does it twice. And
yeah.
I like the presentation of it this time because you can clearly see that he's like when he's checking it on the screen, he knows it's bad, but to reassure her right away, he quickly comes up with that plan of like, oh yeah, across my own timeline, which doesn't
though that's not allowed. That's the big no.
Yeah, we don't want to do a Angels Take Manhattan this early.
Sorry, you mentioned the Forbidden episode.
Okay, well, we'll put that sound on our soundboard when we get a soundboard. Um, but yeah, just everything from the presentation to the emergency hologram one, like yeah, that scene is amazing. And Rose in
Yeah.
general, I like a lot more than I remember. There's some good moments with her.
He was very
It
good.
starts to go away real quick.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed her especially in the second episode.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. So yeah, she gets sent home, and everyone, her family's like, okay, you're safe.
Yeah.
And the Emperor reveals the bombshell of he can complete the Delta Wave, but he can't refine it, so everything will die. And I'm really trying hard to not vent about something similar that happens in this season's finale and is handled absolutely terribly.
Oh my God, you're right. No, yeah, we're shutting up. We're shutting
We're
up.
shutting up. We're shutting
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Anyways, fucking
Oh boy.
just going back to this episode, I think like this I guess with the full context of what happened in the Time War, this episode is a lot more meaningful now. Just knowing about the War Doctor, like
Yeah.
knowing about the War Doctor and then rewatching this, like that hits a lot harder, that choice. Like, do I kill everyone? It's like, damn.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. It's like poetry. It rhymes. George Lucas.
RTD is the British George Lucas. You heard it here first, folks.
Oh my god.
I do like this kind of like goes like back between the two places, but I love it. I really like the stuff on Earth in like the quote unquote present, just because it's kind of like a culmination and probably like the best to me that Rose has ever done in explaining like where she is as a person right now.
Yeah, though I'm also like, Rose, your life would be a lot less meaningless if we overthrew capitalism.
True. But yeah, and I was going to be more on Mickey's side because she's just like, there's nothing for me here now, and I was just like, damn. But the fact that he's like, you should do what the Doctor wanted you to do, have the life he could never have, the life you could have with me, and I'm just like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that is not something you say
not your smoothest move there, Mixter.
And then everything goes to hell.
Yeah. So yeah, now we're gonna get to the thing where this is like
real dark. Like again, like basically everyone dies. Like the Daleks massacre basically everyone on the station except for those on floor 500. Even Jack. Like Jack fucking dies. But yeah. So yeah, and there's there's a lot of like good characterization moments here too, where Jack's trying to recruit people, and then it cuts back and forth with Rose trying to get into the TARDIS. Also, I do like that they acknowledge the fact that Rose went to see Pete.
Yeah, that's a good moment and was handled probably as best as you can do that. Jackie appropriately freaks out, but then once she cools her head, she's just like, you know what?
Yeah, you're right. My husband was a dumbass. But yeah, so like so like everyone everyone dies, including Linda, which okay, so now I will talk about Linda, which is I'm noticing something in this season. So you have Adam, who is a companion that doesn't work out, and I think was intended to he was designed to be the companion that doesn't work out. There's Jack, who you think is going to be who you think wouldn't work out, but in fact works out beautifully. And then you have Linda, who is obviously working out very well, and almost in some ways you think she's going to be replace Rose or join in the team, but she gets killed off because the Doctor can't save everyone. And there's kind of a like, I feel like there's a thematic run through on all of that.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty shitty that she just gets fucking like murked.
Yeah, that's a scene I always justice for Linda. Can we get that hashtag going, folks? All of our 10 viewers, hashtag justice for Linda with a Y.
And y'all thought Ianto was bad. Ooh, I just pissed off some people with that sentence.
Ooh, but yeah, she's a really good actress. Well, not like amazing, but she does the job well of endearing.
Yeah,
and apparently like. I remember this because I was like, I used to be on some very old Doctor Who forums, and like one of them was like a theory crafting, like, oh, you know, what if when, you know, it's called the parting of the ways, so maybe like the Doctor for whatever reason, like, and Rose, you know, they're off, and like,
exactly,
you know, and Linda comes in, which, you know, it's I wouldn't mind seeing an alternate universe where Tennant and Linda are a thing.
It might have been more interesting than Series 2 Rose, but no.
Boom.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, and I feel like it was within bounds because they, like, you already knew that like Eccleston was going to regenerate at the end of the season, but like they didn't. So like it could have been a surprise or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, apparently that was like leaked early in like around the Unquiet Dead.
Actually, no, it was like right after the first episode or two. Like, yeah, like the BBC just like went off on it,
really?
Which was part of the reason why there was bad blood between him and the BBC. But we will talk a little bit more about that once we finish the episode up. But yeah. So yeah, everyone fucking dies. And then Rose uses a tow truck, which, okay, a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina, but it's the least offensive of RTD's Deus Ex Machinas. I
mean, I wouldn't even call it a Deus Ex Machina. Is it that unbelievable that somebody could borrow a truck?
Well, no, it's not the Deus Ex Machina. It's the fact that she's able to get into the heart of the TARDIS, but given that the ship is sentient, I have a feeling that the ship was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna help you out just this once.
I feel like, yeah, because the last thing that it took to like pull that open was like an energy like seismic thing with the rift that would have pulled the planet apart, and this time it's a tow truck, but it's like one of those narrative convenience things, and at least like with the Bad Wolf stuff, it's been like placed and hinted at and not been like so contrived, except for maybe the Gwyneth thing, but
and there's this very poignant line where the Delta Wave will, you know, murder everyone on Earth as well as the Daleks, and they ask him the question, what are you, coward or killer? And the Doctor can't do it, and he says coward every day, and that's like one of the few things, that's like one of my definite like pieces of evidence of why I don't think 9 could have been the one who ended the Time War, because I think even when we see him in Rose when he's brand new, I don't think he could have done it. Like he's too burned from it, and like so much of who that incarnation is tied to that him doing it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I always assumed that it was just like after that one time he could never do it again, but it still works within the new canon of the of introducing the War Doctor. So
and Rose, of course, gets her super time vortex powers and disintegrates all the Daleks and brings Captain Jack back to life, which Whoo boy, does that have some fucking effects.
Just a few. It's fine.
But because she's absorbed the entirety of the time vortex and no person's supposed to have that, she's dying, and the doctor absorbs the energy, but that starts to kill him. And we move on to the regeneration scene, and I like how low-key this scene is. Like, you know, like a lot of people give people shit for, like, you know, the very dramatic speechifying or drawn out parts of like all the regeneration episodes since then, and while I'm not necessarily inclined to agree with them, I think there is something to be said for the brevity of this.
Yeah, I think I think what's really interesting about 9 is that in his arc at the very end, he's content. He's like,
yeah, no,
I've
that's
lived my life.
Yeah,
And at the very beginning,
that's
he definitely wasn't.
that's very much like, I think the best part of this regeneration scene is how tightly, like, you know, like there is a bit of, there's, you know, what could have been, like, what if Christopher Eccleston stayed for another season or whatever, but I think as it is, having these perfectly paced 13 episodes of having him learn to live again, and not like him throwing away the very obvious sort of self-hatred that's been a part of his character this entire season, and admitting that he too was fantastic, is just that's some spicy writing.
It really do be. I gotta ask, is this the only New Who regeneration that happens, like, where we get the reveal at the end of the, rather than, like, at the beginning of the next one?
No, what?
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah, everyone they showed a bit.
Yeah, everyone they show up at the end. I don't know what you're on, dude.
I think
I might be getting things wrong.
Yeah, no. Matt Smith shows up in Tennant's last episode. Capaldi shows up after Matt Smith's knees regenerates. Jodie Whittaker shows. Yeah, no, they all show up.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's 13 shows up for the least amount of time but yeah, they all.
I'm just a boomer then. Never mind.
Also, this
Avery,
is
you are
the
the exact opposite of a boomer.
polar opposite. You're
Yeah.
you're the anti-boomer. There's matter and antimatter. There's the boomer and the anti-boomer.
If like some, like, I don't know who, but if there is a person who is the boomer supreme, you are the zoomer supreme.
Here. This is the first regeneration that he's standing up in. I'm pretty sure, because the rest they were like collapsed or laying down.
Actually, yeah.
Well, I guess, chronologically, the War Doctor, but like in terms of presentation,
no, because the War Doctor's kneeling. Like eight gets like knocked the fuck over. Oh no, okay, the War Doctor into 9. Okay, yes, first time on screen, yes, and it is like there has been a fairly consistent regeneration effect. Like even though they've slightly modified it, this season, like it's been fairly consistent in how it looks through all of New Who, where it has absolutely not been for classic.
just like you glow somehow.
The
it.
orangey flame stuff.
No, yeah, I like the new effect.
Isn't there like a whole thing about like his regenerations getting stronger over time? Like, because you know, obviously 11 to 12.
That's more of a fan canon than actually.
No, the reason why some were more stronger than others, like the reason why the last few have all been strong is because 10 and 12 both hold theirs in for a really long amount of time, because 10's dying from radiation poisoning and 12 gets like electrocuted, blown up, like falls, like 12 gets a lot of shit, and then he also holds it off once the process starts, which is where we get Twice Upon a Time, and 11 gets the first one of a new cycle, theoretically.
Wait, they fucking changed that too? Oh god. You know what? I'll watch the episode. Fuck you. I'll watch the fucking episode. God.
But
Oh boy. But no, yeah. So yeah. And then just a slight scene of David Tennant, who looks very comical in Christopher Eccleston's big coat. He looks like a 12-year-old wearing his dad's coat.
Yeah, I do like the amount of time it takes for him to change, because in my opinion, like the physical act for like 10 and kind of for 12 too takes too long, and then 11's is like super quick when he actually changes.
Yeah,
but
sneeze
like,
regeneration.
the sneeze ration. But yeah, this is the perfect amount of time. You see like some of the features change, and then it's just like, there he is.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Christopher Eccleston obviously was only in the show for one season, and there have been a lot of theories about why he left. Personally, I think it's a combination of there's like a few things. One, his own mental health struggles, which we have discussed in the episode for Dalek. Two, the fact that it was a very strenuous show to shoot, and they ended up being behind, like the long game ended up having to be double booked with Empty Child, in terms of like filming blocks, because they were running short on time, and also I believe there was just also some problems with the initial, not like RTD, but like some of the directors and the initial crew and internal politics at the BBC. But he decided to leave after one season. But I think that season is, like, I used to think a lot less of this season, and I'll talk about that more once we get into like maybe like more like individual thoughts on the season after ratings and like rankings and stuff. But like, he holds like one of the more consistent seasons that this show has had, and I think that's a pretty damn good achievement for a one-season wonder. So yeah, I guess just gonna move into ratings if anyone wants to take it first, or I can go first.
Take it away.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is probably one of the better season finales of the show. I don't think it's my absolute favorite. I think those would probably be some of Capaldi's. Like, obviously my absolute favorite is World Nothing Time and Dr. Falls, and I know I'm gonna get shit for this, but one of my other favorites is Heaven Sent Hellbent. Fucking come to my house and beat me up, I don't care.
I bought my plane ticket. Keep going.
Please do. I would welcome the company. But it's still really good, and I think it's the best of RTD's season finales, because as much as I love the man, his finales have some fucking issues. But yeah, I've mentioned I have some issues with the Bad Wolf reality like concept. Like, I think it deserved more time and kind of doesn't fit very well with like the other part of the story. Like, it's just kind of out of place, and I think it would have been better if it was explored in its own episode. So like, for Bad Wolf itself, I'll give it like a 7.5 or a 7. But Parting of the Ways I will give like a 9, and overall I think I'll give the two-parter as a whole like an 8.
Very cool.
Interesting. I'll go last. I usually go last, so Skylar.
Okay.
There's no like set order or like structure to any of this. I fucked up my intro read because I was doing it from memory.
Just
go with the flow, man.
No, yeah. Of course I'll go. Yeah. Okay, just keeping it to these two episodes, because I have a lot of thoughts in my head, but it's a very satisfying, well-paced, like, I feel like every emotion I'm supposed to feel, I feel it at the right time, and I never feel manipulated exactly. I just feel along for the ride and up for whatever the episode throws at me, which is honestly one of the best compliments I can give to episodes of television, where I'm just so invested that I'm just like, yes, keep it coming, even though I already know what happens. And obviously some of the stuff is dated, as is basically everything, almost everything with this series, but what really makes it shine through are the performances, particularly in the second half. But all the emotional highs hit like where they're supposed to. And even though Christopher Eccleston was only with us as a doctor for one series, he gave it his best, and honestly, I couldn't ask for anything more. I'd love to see an alternate universe where he stayed on for another, or maybe like 3, like the rest of the modern doctors seem to have done. But yeah, amazing time. I don't know exactly if I can rank them separate, although I think I've ranked the other two-parters separate, but I would just say that together I will give the final adventure of the Ninth Doctor a 9. Sue me.
Nice. Nines.
I'm coming in. I'm coming in for the upset here. I'm a buck things right now because I really like these 2 episodes, like a lot.
I really like them too.
No, but I think I for once liked them more.
Oh shit. Go on. Sorry.
Okay, so like for the first episode, I sort of agree. Just like it's a little tonally weird, the shift it goes through, but at the same time, I sort of enjoy that, like the campy to sort of dark tone. I feel like it's a good lead-in for a 2-parter.
Yeah, I think my thing is like if it was like a 3-parter or like a Utopia with Sound of Drums kind of thing, where like it was like a mostly like self-contained episode that just happens to lead into the season finale at the end, I think it would have been a little bit better. Like just so it had enough time.
So like the season what was it? Season 10 3-parter sort of like the first episode of that.
No, actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna say Haunting of Villa Diodati, where like it's its own thing, but then the Cybermen shows up and it kind of directly runs into the series finale, which I as much shit as I'll give the finale, I stand the fuck out of that episode.
Oh, that episode was very good. Anyways, I don't know. For me, it did it for me. And obviously, I loved Jack in that episode. Rose was pretty good. The Doctor
What a gamer.
It was all very good. I was feeling, honestly, like an 8.5 on that episode. And then for the second episode, I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was super duper cool. Just generally, the way it wraps up so many of the themes that have sort of played out throughout the whole season. You sort of mentioned like the triad with companions, the different ways the possible companions can play out, or sort of what I was talking about, the way it plays very well into these ideas of the War Doctor, and it sort of wraps up Eccleston's development as a character, sort of resolving those issues with like, do I, because first episode he's very much sort of for the greater good, sacrifice one to save the many, but now he sort of doesn't take that approach when he's like, no, I'm a coward, I can't do it, and so it's sort of you see him work through that whole stuff. And so he's just absolutely fantastic in this episode. Jack is just, ugh, ooh, and Rose too. Like, I've been shitting on Rose this whole time, and just this episode, she was so good. Like what she goes through, and sort of the sort of arc she goes through on her own, of like just realizing, no, I need to go back. Like this is what we do. We stand up and fight. And her getting to come back, and sort of the payoff with the Bad Wolf stuff, and like people, I could see how people could see it as Deus Ex Machina, but at the same time, it was literally set up over the entire.
And like it's kind of is, but it's way less egregious than some of the later Tennant finales.
And so honestly, it felt like a reveal more of an ass pull to me. So I enjoyed that a lot. I think it played out well. I think, sort of her character getting a little bit too power hungry, and then the Doctor sort of stepping in to help her, get rid of it, and then that being what kills him, saving one person he cares about rather than, the whole universe. I felt that also played into his character very well. So basically what I'm saying is this was a really fucking good episode, and I think this episode, like the second part, was a 10 out of 10 episode.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I told you I was about to surprise y'all. I think overall I'd give this two-parter like 9.5. No, maybe not 9.5, but like it's a bit more than a 9, a bit less than a 9.5.
9.25.
More than 9.25.
All right. So yeah, since this is the end of the season, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna do this is the end of the season, so obviously we're not gonna rank it against any other seasons because we haven't seen any other seasons yet. But in terms of individual episodes, I think you could take like a top 3 or a top 5 and make a ranking out of them. Let me just grab my episode guide real quick to get my top 5.
Well, according to my research.
So yeah, I think my top 5. Number 5, End of the World. Number 4, Rose. Oh, and we're gonna do stories, not individual episodes. Number 4, Rose. Number 3. Yeah. Actually, there's gonna be a bit of an upset here. Number 3, Empty Child. Number 2, Boomtown, and number 1, Dalek. Yes, I did in fact put Boomtown higher than Empty Child.
Okay, wait. I need to look. I wish we had like written down what we episode.
Let me take a picture of my. Let me take a picture of my episode guide and then send it in.
Fuck. If I could totally just draw from what I had rated things, but I can't even remember what I rated things.
I mean, I wasn't even going off of ratings because technically I rated Boomtown less than Empty Child, but I've been thinking about Boomtown more than I've thought about Empty Child. So if this is legible, I don't know. You can use this. I'm not sure if this is legible because it's kind of blurry.
Okay. I do think we should write down our top 5s at least, just so like that can be preserved, sort of.
Yeah, I'll get a piece of paper while you're doing yours.
Okay, Skylar, do you want to go next, keeping with that order?
Sure. So I think, Geoff, our rankings are probably pretty much identical, save for I'd probably flip Boomtown and The Empty Child, not just to piss you off, though I do enjoy pissing you off. But
yeah, no, I know that in technicality, like Empty Child is the better episode. I just find like Boomtown more thought provoking, and like the parts of it that stand out enough that it brings it up a little. But yeah,
I don't know. There really isn't much to say on, at least for me, on episode rankings. There's no episode I flat out disliked. Even the long game, which was the most like meh for me, at least had like the interesting news commentary. So like, yeah, I can't say there hasn't been a moment on this ride so far that I haven't enjoyed. That will change with Series 2. I'm just going to be honest about that. But
no, but I will say, Series 2 has my favorite episode of my personal favorite episode of the entire show in it, and you guys are not going to expect which one it is.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be soon, too. Like, not Christmas Invasion soon, but pretty soon.
Interesting. But, yeah, that's all I'll say if we're just doing rankings, right? Like, top 5 rankings right
Yeah,
now.
top 5 or top 3, whatever you prefer.
Yeah. So yeah, as I said, it's yours, flipping Boomtown and The Empty Child. So.
All right. Okay, I'll go now. I guess starting at number 5, I'd give that to Bad Wolf. Number 4, I'd probably go with Empty Child. Number 3, Doctor Dances.
We're doing stories so that you wouldn't separate those.
Oh fuck, really? Okay.
Yeah, just for convenience's sake, because I don't see the point of like saying, yeah, like story as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now relook at this. Okay. Okay, yeah. So starting at number 5, I would give it to Unquiet Dead. No, I'd probably give number 5 to Rose. Number 4 would go to Boomtown. I agree with that. Number 3, I would give that to the season finale, Parting of the Ways, Bad Wolf. Number 2, I would give that to Dalek. And number 1, I'd have to go with Empty Child story. Like,
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
So I mean, I guess I ended up breaking with it too, because even though I rated Dalek over Empty Child, I guess I just liked that one.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's like kind of like objective versus subjective. Yeah. But yeah, next week we will be covering David Tennant's first episode. With actually we're gonna be doing both the Christmas Invasion and the 7-minute Children in Need special. That's like a little prequel to that frankly I feel like should have just been a scene in the episode.
Oh,
but
yeah. Ridiculous. That's so, ridiculous.
Yeah, with that, and that also means I get to use my my shiny new David Tennant Blu-rays for the first time. But yeah, so yeah, next week we'll be moving into season 2 and a new Doctor with the Christmas Invasion. Until then, I forgot to do this the past like 3 episodes, so I'm making extra sure I do it now. If you have stumbled upon the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at B2TARDISPod.
I'm Skylar. You can find me at skyhigh9_5.
I am Avery, and you can find me at my new Twitter, anarchofluidity.
And we will see you all next week for some Christmas in early March.